In the grand tapestry of history, few leaders have ignited as much fervor and division as Donald Trump. But what if his rise to power wasn't just a political event? What if it was prophesied? The Bible, in its cryptic and often chilling prophecies, speaks of leaders who emerge in the final days. Could Trump be one of them? Could his presidency signal the end times? From the moment Trump descended the golden escalator to announce his candidacy, his presence has been larger than life. Some see him as a savior of tradition, a defender of values. Others view him as a disruptor, a harbinger of chaos. Yet, hidden in the pages of the Bible, particularly in the book of Revelation, are eerie parallels that make one wonder, was his presidency a piece of a divine plan, or a warning of what's to come? Revelation, the Bible's final and most mysterious book, foretells a period of upheaval. It speaks of trumpets sounding before the end. Trump's very name evokes this imagery, leading some to speculate about his connection to these ancient warnings. The sound of a trumpet, in biblical terms, signals judgment, change, and the unveiling of God's plan. Is it mere coincidence that his name echoes these themes, or is there something more profound at play? Consider this. Revelation warns of a leader who rises amid global turmoil, promising strength and restoration. Trump's presidency emerged during a time of division and uncertainty, both in America and abroad. His bold, unfiltered rhetoric captivated millions and alienated just as many. Like the prophesied figure, his reign was marked by conflict, both internal and external. But what's most startling is how his actions align with the apocalyptic narrative. Take, for example, his role in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. This move, celebrated by many as fulfilling biblical prophecy, also sparked outrage and unrest across the globe. The Bible speaks of Jerusalem as the focal point of end times events, a city where divine and earthly forces collide. By placing it at the center of his foreign policy, Trump didn't just make a political statement, he may have unwittingly set the stage for prophecy to unfold. Then there's the imagery of Babylon in Revelation, described as a place of great wealth, corruption, and power, ultimately destined for destruction. Trump Tower, rising high above Manhattan, has been likened by some to a modern Tower of Babel, a symbol of human ambition and hubris. Critics have pointed to this as a metaphor for the dangers of unchecked power and pride. Was Trump's empire a warning sign hidden in plain sight? And yet, the parallels don't end there. Revelation also describes a leader who captivates the masses, inspiring loyalty and fierce opposition. Trump's rallies became almost religious gatherings, with chants, signs, and an unshakable devotion from his followers. But with this devotion came division, the kind that fractures nations and pits communities against one another. Revelation warns that such division is a hallmark of the end times. But perhaps the most unsettling connection lies in the prophecy of the beast and its mark. Modern interpretations of this mark often point to technology, control, and global surveillance. Trump, during his presidency, oversaw significant advancements in technology, including discussions about digital currencies and artificial intelligence. Could these developments tie into the beast's system of ultimate control, where no one can buy or sell without the mark? Are we living in the days where these warnings are becoming reality? The question is no longer just about Trump's presidency, it's about what it represents. Are we witnessing the unraveling of a divine plan, one that has been set in motion for millennia? Could Trump's rise be the trumpet blast that signals the beginning of the end? The answers are not simple. They demand reflection, a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and the courage to look beyond the surface. Because if these connections are more than coincidence, then the world as we know it may already be on the brink of a transformation unlike anything humanity has seen before. As the world spiraled further into uncertainty, Trump's decisions on the global stage drew both applause and alarm. His controversial policies and alliances often mirrored the chaotic imagery described in Revelation's apocalyptic visions. But were these merely political maneuvers, or did they carry deeper prophetic significance? One striking example is the U.S.'s strained relationship with global powers during Trump's presidency. Revelation speaks of nations rising against each other, alliances breaking, and kingdoms clashing in the final days. Trump's America First doctrine disrupted decades of international diplomacy, creating rifts between allies and emboldening adversaries. His withdrawal from global agreements such as the Paris Climate Accord and the Iran nuclear deal was seen by some as a bold stand for sovereignty, but by others as a dangerous isolationism that could destabilize the world order. Were these moves simply political gambits, or did they reflect the fracturing foretold in ancient prophecy? Perhaps most symbolically, Trump's unprecedented relationship with North Korea stood out. His historic meetings with Kim Jong-un, marked by grand gestures and dramatic photo ops, were hailed by supporters as bold steps toward peace. Yet skeptics questioned whether these gestures were meaningful or a reflection of the false peace warned of in Revelation. The Bible speaks of a time when deceptive alliances are forged, lulling nations into complacency before chaos erupts. Could these events be shadows of that foretold peace that precedes destruction? And then there was the conflict surrounding the Middle East, where Trump's foreign policy decisions seemed to align with key biblical themes. His administration brokered the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and several Arab nations. For some, this was a groundbreaking achievement heralding peace in the region. But for others, it raised unsettling questions. Revelation speaks of covenants made and broken in the final days. Was this a genuine step toward peace, or a prelude to the chaos described in prophecy? The imagery of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, conquest, war, famine, and death, also comes to mind when examining the global events surrounding Trump's presidency. His tenure coincided with a series of crises that shook the world, from escalating tensions in the South China Sea to the near collapse of NATO relations. Whispers of war seemed to echo across the globe. Economically, trade wars and tariffs threatened to plunge nations into turmoil. And then, in 2020, a pandemic swept the globe, unleashing both literal death and economic devastation, sparking comparisons to the horsemen's grim march. Were these merely coincidental events, or part of a larger divine script? Yet, it wasn't just international relations or global crises that raised eyebrows. At home, Trump's presidency was marked by unprecedented division. The social and political fabric of the United States frayed as protests, riots, and polarization reached fever pitches. Revelation warns of a time when nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Could this internal strife, unparalleled in modern history, be another warning sign that the end times are near? But perhaps what unsettles people most is how these events seem to align with biblical timelines and symbols. The chaos, division, and rapid acceleration of global change feel almost too deliberate, as though following a preordained script. Trump's presidency became a focal point, amplifying the uncertainty and turbulence of an already fragile world. Revelation describes tribulations that will shake humanity to its core, leading many to wonder, are we living in those very days? Is Trump's rise to power not just a political anomaly, but a sign that we are entering the final chapters of history? The connections are hard to ignore, and even skeptics find themselves drawn to the eerie synchronicity. Could it be that Trump, knowingly or unknowingly, has played a role in setting the stage for the events long foretold? If these parallels hold any truth, then what comes next may be more extraordinary and terrifying than anyone dares to imagine. Could Donald Trump's presidency signal the beginning of the end? Many have speculated that his rise to power could be more than just a political event. It could be a sign of the times. The Bible's final book, Revelation, warns of upheaval, chaos, and the emergence of a leader who will play a pivotal role in the final days. Trump's presidency, marked by polarizing rhetoric and controversial policies seems to have sparked a series of events that echo these apocalyptic prophecies. One striking parallel between Trump's presidency and biblical prophecy is the concept of the mark of the beast. Revelation describes a world where no one can buy or sell without bearing this mark, symbolizing complete control over the global economy. During Trump's time in office, debates surrounding digital currencies, a cashless society, and increasing government surveillance took center stage. Could these be early steps toward fulfilling the prophecy? Technology seemed to be advancing rapidly in ways that could pave the way for a system of total control, just as the Bible predicted. Trump's control over social media became another powerful tool during his presidency. His direct communication with millions of followers was unprecedented. Revelation warns of a leader who captivates the masses, using his influence to control thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Could Trump, with his dominance over media and public discourse, be fulfilling this aspect of the prophecy? His ability to divide and manipulate while sparking fervent loyalty in his supporters mirrors the behavior of the beast. Trump's relationship with Israel also aligns with biblical prophecy. His decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital was celebrated by many as a fulfillment of prophecy. Revelation describes Jerusalem as the center of end times events, a place where divine and earthly forces will collide. Trump's alignment with this cause placed him at the center of these biblical themes. Was he unknowingly setting the stage for prophecy to unfold? But it's not just about policies. Trump's presidency mirrored the division that would characterize the end times. Revelation speaks of a leader who divides nations, creates conflict, and leads people astray. Trump's tenure was marked by intense polarization. The U.S. grew more divided than ever, with Americans split on almost every issue. His rhetoric of division became his hallmark. This kind of fragmentation, where societies are split between supporters and detractors, is directly reflected in Revelation's warnings about chaos and destruction preceding the end. Finally, Trump's time in office saw dramatic global instability. From trade wars to economic unrest to the global pandemic that reshaped the world order, his presidency was marked by rapid change. Revelation speaks of a time when famine, death, and destruction will spread across the earth. While these events are not unique to his presidency, their timing and intensity seem to align with the beginning of the end. The speed at which global events escalated during his time in office is another factor that draws parallels to Revelation's prophecies. The Bible describes a time when events unfold quickly, as if time itself is accelerating. Under Trump, political, social, and technological shifts happened faster than ever before. From unpredictable foreign policies to global crises, the world seemed to shift rapidly. Could this swift transformation be a sign we are nearing the end? Trump's presidency also aligned with the Bible's warning about false peace and a world in turmoil. Revelation warns of a time when nations will rise against each other and alliances will shatter. During Trump's time in office, the world witnessed geopolitical tensions escalate, especially with North Korea, Iran, and other major powers. His rhetoric often struck a balance between asserting America's dominance and claiming to offer peace. Yet, in his efforts to forge deals, many critics saw the risk of making dangerous alliances. Could these false promises of peace be part of the end times prophecy? Revelation describes a false sense of security before the storm, and Trump's efforts in the Middle East, particularly his dealings with North Korea and the peace agreements in the region, might mirror that warning. At the same time, Trump's relationship with Israel made him a central figure in biblical prophecy. His decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital wasn't just a political move. It echoed prophecies found in the book of Revelation, where Jerusalem is foretold to be a battleground in the final days. By moving the U.S. embassy there, Trump cemented his place in prophecy, whether intentionally or not, as he fulfilled a long-awaited promise for many Christians. His role in this divine drama is debated, But one cannot ignore the biblical imagery at play. Is this a divine coincidence, or is the stage being set for something even greater to unfold? But perhaps the most significant sign of Trump's connection to the Bible's warnings comes from the immense division his presidency caused. Revelation speaks of a leader who will create chaos, division, and conflict, something that Trump's time in office undeniably reflected. The country was torn apart by his rhetoric, with Americans fighting over basic issues that had once been common ground. This fracture in society, the way people were pushed to opposite sides, mirrors the division that Revelation speaks of as a precursor to destruction. During Trump's presidency, the divide was tangible, and it felt as though the nation was already experiencing a foretaste of the division to come. This polarization wasn't just political, it was cultural, social, and even spiritual. The tension reached beyond partisan lines, with families, friends, and communities split over Trump's policies and rhetoric. As much as Trump's followers adored him, others saw him as a threat to the fabric of society. This intense division reflected the chaos Revelation describes in its visions of the apocalypse. Could Trump's presidency have been an indicator that the end times were already in motion? Looking at the broader picture, Trump's presidency also coincided with rapid technological advances, many of which align with biblical prophecies. Revelation speaks of a world where the beast's control is facilitated by technology, a world where surveillance is constant, where personal freedoms are monitored, and where no one can buy or sell without the mark. Under Trump, we saw the rise of digital currencies, surveillance systems, and AI developments, all of which align with these end times descriptions. Finally, the chaos and unpredictability of Trump's presidency could be the very storm that Revelation describes. The Bible tells of a time when events unfold rapidly, with change happening faster than anyone can anticipate. From trade wars and international instability to the COVID-19 pandemic, the world seemed to shift faster than ever during Trump's term. Could this rapid acceleration of events signal that we are approaching the end of days? Revelation warns of a time when the world is turned upside down, when everything we knew would change. Trump's presidency may have been the catalyst that triggered this transformation, setting the stage for what's to come. Is Donald Trump the final president before the apocalypse? The question may not have an easy answer, but one thing is clear: the biblical prophecies seem to align with the events of his time in office in ways that are hard to ignore. Whether Trump is the harbinger of the end or simply a byproduct of a larger divine plan, the parallels are striking. As the world continues to change, it may be wise to keep an eye on these ancient prophecies, for they may hold the key to understanding the times we are living in.